Extraordinary places on Earth, a journey through interesting corners of the world. The world we live in holds secrets that can amaze even the most experienced travelers and scientists. When we look beyond what surrounds us every day, we discover that our planet is a place full of extraordinary things, as if nature left us hidden messages and traces of the past that we are still learning to read. Among the barren deserts, we find valleys the colors of fire. In the heart of the mountains, formations arise that seem to belong to this world. There are places where the silence of nature speaks louder than words, where rocks create figures that seem to have a will of their own, and where the landscape looks as if it was created by something more than just time and wind. In this episode, I will take you on a journey to 8 extraordinary corners of our planet. From the desert landscapes of Jordan, through mysterious canyons, to pink lakes that turn life into stone. Places that look like a dream in photos, but in reality are even more unbelievable. Some of them are shrouded in ancient legends, others are still the subject of research and speculation. However, they all have one thing in common. They arouse wonder and questions that often have no clear answer. So let's set off together on this extraordinary journey through the corners that show what an inexhaustible source of wonders and mysteries our Earth can be. Part 1. Wadi Rum, Jordan. When you enter Wadi Rum, the first thing you feel is silence. Deep, almost sacred. As if the desert is holding its breath, waiting for you to understand where you really are. The red sands stretch to the horizon, and the mighty wind-carved rocks resemble huge faces turned to the sky. This place, called the Valley of the Moon, has remained a sacred point on the maps of nomadic tribes for centuries. The Bedouins said that this was where the spirits of their ancestors met, and that each rock had its own name and its own history. In the narrow gorges, you can find petroglyphs, symbols of centuries-old civilizations, such as the Nabateans and the Thamuds, carved into the rock. They left behind enigmatic signs that some consider to be coded messages for future generations. They say that Wadi Rum has its heart, one of the places where the rocks form a natural amphitheater. At dusk, this place becomes quieter. Locals believe that then, it is easiest to hear what is usually hidden. Located at an altitude of about 900 meters above sea level, Wadi Rum has an extreme climate, hot during the day and cool at night. Little rainfall and strong winds shape the rocks here, creating unusual formations that attract geologists and photographers from around the world. Part 2. Pamukkale, Turkey. Imagine a snow-covered hill that is not cold at all. Pamukkale, which means cotton castle in Turkish, is one of the most spectacular places in the world. In reality, it is not snow, but white limestone deposits formed by the flow of hot springs, which over millennia have formed terraced pools filled with crystal-clear water. This natural wonder has attracted pilgrims, seekers of healing, and those who believed in the miraculous power of thermal waters for centuries. In ancient times, the city of Hierapolis was founded in the vicinity of Pamukkale, known for its healing baths and temples. Legend has it that it was here that Aphrodite washed her body in the waters of the springs, giving them rejuvenating properties. Other stories tell of a shepherd who found his lost daughter here, who was brought back to life thanks to a bath in the miraculous water. Today, this place still fascinates with its incredible structure. The terraces are arranged like a staircase to heaven, and their shape changes constantly, depending on the water flow. Interestingly, the process of creating limestone forms is still active. Nature has not yet finished its work here. But Pamukkale also has a darker side. Over the years, it has been overexploited by tourists, which has almost destroyed its delicate ecosystem. Today, the place is protected, and access to some areas is strictly regulated. Part 3. Zhangjiajie, China. In the heart of China's Hunan province, there is a landscape that seems to defy gravity. Zhangjiajie is a maze of hundreds of slender, vertical rocks rising into the sky like stone towers, occasionally overgrown with vegetation. The fog that almost always hangs over the place gives it an aura of mystery and makes it hard to believe that this place really exists. To the locals, these rocks are not just geological formations. They are sacred pillars, inhabited by the spirits of their ancestors. For generations, stories have been told here of lost travelers who entered the columns and never returned. It is said that those who disrespect the spirit forest are drawn into its silence forever. The name Zhangjiajie literally means house of the Zhang family. According to legend, this is where the descendant of a heavenly warrior who fell from the sky to protect the surrounding peoples was supposed to live. To this day, the locals feel a spiritual connection to this place. They believe that each of the stone spires has its own name and character. Some are gentle, others are angry, and can punish those who disturb the balance of nature. In the 21st century, one of the most extraordinary bridges in the world was built here, suspended between rocks, made of glass. Walking over it, you see the abyss and hundreds of meters of vertical rock below you. For many, it is a borderline experience, a test of courage, but also humility in the face of the forces of nature. Part 4. Antelope Canyon, United States. In southern Arizona, deep in the desert heart of Navajo territory, there's a place that looks more like an illusion than a natural formation. Antelope Canyon is a narrow, slot rock passage whose walls wind like an enchanted tunnel, rippled, smooth, and gleaming like silk. Sunlight streams through narrow openings in the ceiling, creating shafts of light that dance between the sandstone walls. For the Navajo people, this canyon has always been a place of power. According to one legend, it was created as a result of a fight between a great snake and a storm spirit. The snake, wounded, crawled underground, writhing in pain, and its body carved this extraordinary corridor. To this day, the Navajo enter the canyon with reverence, saying prayers so as not to disturb the sleeping spirits. The entrance to the canyon is narrow, almost hidden. Only those who know where to look can find it. The interior is cool, contrasting with the desert heat. The light changes colors of the walls depending on the time of day, from gold and red to purple and blue. Photographers from all over the world come here to capture this dance of light, which lasts only a few minutes a day. But Antelope Canyon is also a dangerous place. A flash flood once trapped a group of hikers there, a reminder that while beautiful, the place remains wild and unpredictable. To the Navajo, it's a sign that the spirits are still watching. It's not just a natural wonder, it's a living story etched in stone. Part 5. Lençóis Maranhenses, Brazil. On the northeastern coast of Brazil, there is a landscape that is second to none. Lençóis Maranhenses is a vast expanse of sand dunes that resemble giant sheets thrown to the ground by a giant. Their shape indeed brings to mind folds of white cloth, hence the name lençóis, meaning sheets. What makes this place special, however, is not the sand itself, but what happens to it after the rainy season. The water collects between the dunes, creating hundreds of turquoise lagoons, each of which looks like a natural pool. In an instant, the harsh desert changes into a fabulous mosaic of turquoise lagoons spread between golden dunes. The strangest thing is that despite the fact that this area resembles a desert, the annual rainfall is very high. It is one of the wettest desert places in the world. For the locals, it is a magical place. According to an old legend, a woman named Yara once lived here, whose tears after the loss of her beloved filled the valleys with water. It is said that sometimes you can see her walking at dusk among the lagoons, singing a song that no one can understand. The lagoons are home to fish that appear seemingly out of nowhere. Scientists say their eggs survive underground, waiting for rain, but local guides prefer a different version, that the spirits of the place give life to the dead. Part 6. Cappadocia, Turkey. In central Turkey, there is a land that resembles a dream landscape. Cappadocia, a vast area dotted with conical rock formations called fairy chimneys. These extraordinary shapes were created by the erosion of volcanic ash, but their history does not end with geology. Beneath the surface of these rocks lies another hidden world. For thousands of years, people have carved rooms, tunnels, and entire underground cities in the soft tuff. The most famous of these is Derinkuyu, a network of corridors and chambers that extends to many levels underground. Up to several thousand people lived there. They had their own wells, ventilation systems, and trapdoors for defense. Who built them and why? One theory is that the population was there to protect themselves from invasions, another, from something much older and more unknown. Cappadocia is also famous for its numerous chapels and monasteries carved into the rocks. The walls of many of them are decorated with frescoes depicting biblical scenes, some still retaining their intense colors after centuries. Many of these places have been abandoned, but some are still visited by pilgrims today. According to local stories, at night, not only balloons float above the valleys, but also the souls of ancestors. Some say that something is still watching underground, that the silence in these corridors is unusual. Maybe that is why Cappadocia attracts not only with its landscape, but also with what cannot be captured in a photo. Part 7. Lake Natron, Tanzania. In the north of Tanzania, near the border with Kenya, there is a reservoir that looks more like a fragment of an alien planet than an earthly landscape. Lake Natron is a place that, on the one hand, delights with its beauty, and on the other, terrifies with the consequences of its action. The water in the lake has an intense reddish or pink color, depending on the light and salt concentration. This is due to cyanobacteria, which cope perfectly with the extreme environment. The temperature here reaches up to 60 degrees Celsius, and the salinity level is so high that only a few organisms can survive here. However, it is not the colors that make the greatest impression, but what happens to life that gets close. Birds and bats that inadvertently plunge into the lake often die. Their bodies are quickly covered with a layer of salt, creating natural sculptures, as if time had stopped at the moment of death. Some call this place a gallery of petrified souls. Photographer Nick Brandt immortalized these phenomena, showing dead creatures that look as if they were carved from stone. The lake has always held ritual significance for local people. It was believed to be a gateway to the world of the dead, a portal through which souls pass to another dimension. Local shamans avoided the lake's shores with respect, but also fear, sometimes leaving gifts for invisible beings there. Lake Natron is not a place to rest. It is a natural reminder that beauty can be deadly. Part 8. Giant's Causeway, Northern Ireland. On the coast of Northern Ireland, in County Antrim, there is a rock formation that has inspired wonder and questions for centuries. The Giant's Causeway is made up of some 40,000 basalt columns that look as if they were carefully placed by the hand of a titanic builder. In reality, they were formed by a volcanic eruption about 50 million years ago. But people have long had a different theory about it. According to legend, the causeway was built by an Irish giant named Finn McCool to cross the sea to Scotland and challenge his rival, Benandonner. However, when he saw how huge his opponent was, his wife had an idea. She dressed Finn as a baby and hid him in a cradle. When Benandonner saw the child, he was terrified. If the offspring was so big, the father must be an unbeatable giant. He fled in panic back to Scotland, destroying the causeway so that no one could follow him. Although science speaks of cooling lava and natural divisions of basalt, it is hard to resist the impression that something here does not fit the known patterns. The columns are so precisely arranged that they resemble a paved road leading into the depths of the sea. Some are shaped like steps, others create hexagonal towers. The locals believe that on certain nights, when the moon reflects off the water, footsteps can be heard. Heavy, slow, moving away towards the sea. Maybe Finn is still out there somewhere. Maybe he's just sleeping, because some stories never end. Our journey through the extraordinary corners of the world has come to an end, but this is only a small part of the secrets that our planet hides. Each of these places has its own history, its own soul, and maybe something else that we cannot fully understand. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe if you want, and see you in the next episode.